Hey guys, welcome to the Max Invest YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing how Chainlink and Arbitrum are related to each other. I see a lot of individuals saying that Chainlink and Arbitrum are intrinsically related. Many people are saying that Chainlink is Arbitrum's native token, and Chainlink and Arbitrum have a deeper integration than Chainlink does with most blockchain networks. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing if I believe that is true, what exactly the integrations between Chainlink and Arbitrum are right now, and what they will be in the future. Hopefully this video helps people who are a little bit confused about where Chainlink and Arbitrum currently stand, and hopefully you can get a better gauge of the relationship between the two parties. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, the links are down below in the description, and remember, nothing in this video is financial advice. Now, the last disclaimer that I should quickly add is this video is pre-recorded. I would have recorded it about a week before it's going to be posted, and the reason for this is I am currently on holiday. So the videos are going to be a little bit more scarce for the next week or so. However, by the end of January, I should be back, and they should be back up to daily videos. Anyway, let's get into the video. Also, this video was made using a lot of information from Chainlink God, Link Drake, and Run the Jewels. If you don't follow these Twitter accounts, it's probably a good idea to actually do that, as they drop a lot of good Chainlink knowledge. So let's get into the video. Now, the first thing to say is Chainlink oracles are currently running live on the Arbitrum 1 network. As we can see, Chainlink price feeds is the first service to go live. Now, Chainlink price feeds are the bread and butter of Chainlink. Nearly every decentralized finance application needs to know the price of Ethereum, Bitcoin, and a range of different assets. Of course, the oracle service that delivers this price most reliably is Chainlink. So we see almost every blockchain network using these Chainlink price feeds. Arbitrum 1 uses these price feeds, and this is no different to the majority of other blockchains, which is great to see. However, like most blockchain networks, Chainlink isn't only providing price feeds to Arbitrum 1. In fact, Chainlink is being used for a range of different things on the Arbitrum network. As we can see, Off-Chain Labs outlined that Arbitrum 1 is going to be using Chainlink for a range of different things, such as verifiable randomness, which provides on-chain gaming applications and NFTs with provably fair outcomes, proof of reserves, which allows individuals to audit the collateralization of any asset, and any web API. All any web API is it allows individuals to access data from a range of different sources for their smart contracts. For example, if you want weather data, you can access that. If you want flight data, you can access that. And it basically means that Chainlink is delivering a range of different data to the Arbitrum network, which of course is great to see. So right now, Arbitrum is using Chainlink for a range of different services. However, this is quite similar to most things. Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and Polygon are currently using Chainlink for basically all of these services and more services. So this isn't exactly unique to Arbitrum 1, and Chainlink is going to be doing this on the majority of blockchain networks. Moreover, I do expect Arbitrum 1 to actually be integrating more Chainlink services into the future. I do believe that keepers will probably come sometime in the next couple of months, and then whenever Chainlink adds new services, it will be used on Arbitrum 1. Chainlink is planning to launch cross-chain interoperability protocol later this year, and I do assume that this is going to interoperate with Arbitrum 1, and I do actually expect Chainlink to announce even more services that will be being used on Arbitrum and a range of other blockchain networks. Moreover, another thing that Chainlink is being used for and will be used for more in the future is a layer 2 to layer 1 messaging highway for Arbitrum. CCIP and Chainlink will basically allow Arbitrum to contact the layer 1, and I expect this to be a very big use case going into the future. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is how the Arbitrum sequencer is going to actually be using Chainlink in order to prevent MEV and decentralize the sequencer. This was something that I was a little bit confused about a couple of days ago. However, it was cleared up by some of the Chainlink community members that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Essentially, Arbitrum is an optimistic rollup. This means that Arbitrum will basically get a bunch of transactions, compute them off-chain, roll them up, and then send them off to the layer 1. Now, Arbitrum's sequencer is basically used to order all of these transactions, and the sequencer is basically the entity that sends the transactions off to the layer 1. Right now, off-chain labs have a centralized sequencer. What this means is that Arbitrum are basically able to censor your transactions right now, which means Arbitrum's sequencer isn't fully decentralized, and Arbitrum isn't fully decentralized as of yet. Of course, Arbitrum want to change this. They want to make their sequencer decentralized, which therefore will mean that they cannot censor transactions, and the sequencer basically runs on its own without any users being negatively affected by it. Now, Arbitrum have said that they're basically going to use Chainlink in order to decentralize their sequencer. Essentially, what Chainlink is going to be doing is Chainlink is going to be providing Arbitrum with fair sequencing services, one of their new services that they recently announced. What Chainlink's fair sequencing services will do is it will mean that a Chainlink network, so a network of Chainlink Oracle nodes, which is made up of a bunch of individuals, will basically collect user transactions off-chain, generate decentralized consensus for all of these transactions, and submit the transactions back to the Arbitrum 1 protocol. As we already know, Chainlink is made up of a whole bunch of different networks of Chainlink Oracle nodes. This means that Chainlink's fair sequencing services will be able to utilize some of these networks to actually do the sequencing for Arbitrum and send the transactions off to the layer 1. Chainlink is already highly decentralized and highly censorship resistant, so this makes a ton of sense. What this is going to do is it's going to minimize MEV because Chainlink will actually order those transactions in a decentralized way, meaning no one can cheat the system, and it will decentralize the sequencer. Chainlink is decentralized, and therefore they're not going to be able to censor transactions or collude with each other, and especially when we see the introduction of Chainlink staking, it's going to be nearly impossible to attack this Chainlink network of Oracle nodes. So overall, Chainlink are actually planning to decentralize Arbitrum's sequencer, and every time Chainlink sequence transactions, the Arbitrum and individuals are going to need Link tokens in order to pay for this service, which basically gives Link more and more value over time, which is great. Now, these are all of the ways that we know Arbitrum and Chainlink are going to be working together. All of the things that I've outlined are basically 100% confirmed, and they're very big for both Arbitrum and Chainlink. However, there's one more speculative way that Ed Felton, who is the co-founder of Off-Chain Labs, wrote about a couple of years ago right now. Essentially, what Ed Felton said is he said that Chainlink nodes can offer Arbitrum validator services. So, Arbitrum basically has validators and a sequencer. The validators are basically used for checking the state of Arbitrum and producing blocks, and the sequencers are used for ordering all of these transactions and sending it off to the layer 1. Arbitrum needs to decentralize both the validator set and the sequencers. Ed Felton basically said that Chainlink Oracle networks could also be used as Arbitrum validators. So this means that the Oracle networks could actually process the transactions before they send them off to the sequencer, meaning Chainlink could decentralize both the validators and the sequencer network. However, I do want to say that this was very speculative at the time, and there's been no new news on this. Arbitrum have confirmed that Chainlink will be used to decentralize the sequencer. However, Arbitrum have not confirmed that they are going to decentralize the validators, and it doesn't really look like this is on the roadmap anymore. This was more of just a speculative post from Ed Felton. I'd say that this probably has a 20 to 30% chance of actually being implemented, so it may still not be the long-term plan for Arbitrum's network. Honestly, I do believe it would be better if Arbitrum just made it so that anybody around the world could be a validator and not just Chainlink Oracle networks. However, both outcomes would be good and both outcomes would decentralize the validator set. Regardless, Chainlink God made one more point, and I thought it was a very good point here. However, it's a bit confusing. The first thing you need to understand before this point is Arbitrum is comprised of two different things. It's comprised of Arbitrum 1. Arbitrum 1 is essentially the network that we all love and the network that we all use, which has a bunch of applications on it. However, apart from Arbitrum 1, there's also Arbitrum. And what Arbitrum allows individuals to do is it allows people to deploy custom rollups on top of Arbitrum. Reddit are doing this right now, and they're deploying their own rollup on top of Arbitrum. Now, if someone wants to deploy a rollup on top of Arbitrum, they'll actually be able to use Link to spin up validators for their specific rollup. So, it's going to be very easy for anyone, for all of the corporations or the big companies who want to make their own custom rollup, to actually use Link as a validator set, and I do expect this to happen into the future. As more rollups come along and they actually want to easily create a validator set, they're probably going to be using Chainlink to do this, which is going to be great in the future. If you don't fully understand that point, I don't think it matters too much, so let's get into my final verdict for the video. I've seen a lot of debate between individuals in the Chainlink and Ethereum communities about Arbitrum. Ethereum people will say that Ether is Arbitrum's native token, and Chainlink people will say that Link is Arbitrum's native token. So I want to talk about what I think of this debate and what I believe is Arbitrum's true native token. Essentially, Chainlink is being used for Arbitrum in a range of different ways. Chainlink provides a range of services to the Arbitrum network like most blockchain networks. However, Chainlink and Arbitrum's partnership is unique, and this is because Chainlink is actually being used to decentralize the sequencer, and individuals will actually need to pay Link tokens to Chainlink Oracle nodes to sequence transactions. Of course, this isn't here just yet, however, it is 100% confirmed to come in the future. Of course, this shows that Chainlink has a very big use case and utility within the Arbitrum ecosystem. However, we also must understand Arbitrum is a rollup on top of the Ethereum network. This means that whenever Arbitrum submits transactions back to the Ethereum layer 1, it needs to use Ether to pay for the gas fees. There's no way around this. Arbitrum pays millions of dollars to the Ethereum network every single month. And if you add it up, Arbitrum is currently paying a lot more to the Ethereum network than it is to the Chainlink network. Of course, this may change and it may eventually be paying the same amount or more to Chainlink than it is to Ethereum when we see the launch of fair sequencing services, which isn't out just yet. Regardless, I don't think that Chainlink is necessarily Arbitrum's native token, and I do think this debate is slightly redundant. I do believe that Arbitrum has multiple native tokens. Chainlink, of course, is going to be a very important token in the Arbitrum ecosystem. However, so is Ether. Ether is a very important token and it's being used to pay for fees. And I see a lot of Chainlink people undermining Ethereum and undermining Ether, and I do believe that this is a bit of a mistake. I do think Arbitrum adds a lot of fundamental value to both Chainlink and both Ethereum, and I wouldn't necessarily say one or the other is a native token. I would say they are both native tokens of Arbitrum, and they both have their own unique use cases for Arbitrum. Anyway, this brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching the video.